Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video, and we have another new pack in the shop, Generation of Bravery. A pack that is certainly aiming to appeal to a lot of die-hard GX fans, as pretty much everything in this pack is a reference to either the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX anime or manga. But just how good are these cards and how many of them should you try to pull for? As always, it's what we're here to answer today. We're going to be looking at all of the new UR cards in this pack and reviewing them so that way you know for the most valuable resources just how to spend them. Let's not waste any more time and get right on into this. Masked Hero Atomic is a new piece of hero support that is coming in this pack here, specifically for the masked heroes, with the ability to not only special summon a non-fire masked hero from your graveyard or banishment, ignoring summoning conditions, but also during your end phase, it'll set up a change quick play spell from your graveyard back onto the field. From what I can tell in my research in the OCG, it does look like Atomic is seeing play in some amount of hero decks. Of course, Hero is still not like the most powerful deck. I think it is still going to be Rogue tier. However, it does notably get better and better as time goes on and it continues to get more support, as Hero always tends to. So it seems like, and I'm not really a Hero expert by any means, but it almost seems like you can kind of go in a lot of different directions with Hero, especially with all this new support coming out. So if you want to lean more into the Masked Hero support, I definitely recommend picking up a single copy of Atomic. Masked Hero Furnace is one of the new main deck masked heroes for the hero archetype. So masked heroes are more than just an extra deck series now. Like in the manga, again, now they actually have main deck monsters. And as expected, this one not only supports the mask change archetype, but allows you to potentially get some fusion summons in with either polymerization or you can special summon off of its own effect when you fusion summon any hero monster. So as far as whether or not you want to use this in Hero, from what I can tell in my research, it seems like an optional one-of copy. It seems like Hero, there's like so many different waves of support now. There's so many different directions you can go in. If you want to lean more into this new Masked Hero support, definitely pick up a copy, but I think even then you would only need the one for your Hero deck. Miracle Ejector is a new piece of hero support that's really interesting. It's kind of all over the place. Like, it's always treated as an elemental hero card, but then you summon it from your hand by sending a Neospatian from your deck to the graveyard. It lets you add any spell or trap card that mentions a specific elemental hero monster's name as well. That's worth noting. It doesn't add any card that mentions elemental heroes in general. It has to mention a specific hero's name. So like, all those cards that work only when Neos is on the field, or only when Avion or Vercinatrix, etc. That's what Miracle Ejector adds. As a result, Miracle Ejector's card pool of what it can actually search actually ends up being really limited as a result, and unfortunately, it just doesn't really seem like it sees any amount of play. It just wants you to be doing too many different things for it to be actually useful. It like reads insane on paper, or maybe not insane, but it reads at least good on paper, but in practice, there's just not really much worth searching with this card, unfortunately. Conduction Warrior Plasma Magnum is one of the new boss monsters for the latest wave of magnet support. And these are going to be not necessarily the magnet warriors like that Yugi played, but more of bastions plus minus magnets from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. I actually, way back when these cards were very first announced for the OCG, quite a few months ago, made a video specifically about these cards because I thought this engine was really strong. It didn't end up quite performing as well as I thought it would, but it's still a very, very solid upper rogue option. And in Master Duel specifically, I would almost argue that this could even be a tier 3 deck, because you gotta remember that in Master Duel, we have access to a bunch of engine bridge cards that aren't necessarily legal in paper play. Stuff like Moon of the Closed Heaven and King of the Pharolamps make it very easy for the new Magnet archetype to pivot into other engines. For Plasma Magnum, you'll want at least one copy in your deck, but I've seen quite a few play 2 copies as well, so 1 or 2 copies for your Magnet Warrior deck should suffice. Conduction Warrior Linear Magnum Plus Minus, which is certainly a mouthful, but this is quite a good card here, as it can be special summoned from your hand by sending 2 of your Magnet Warrior monsters from your deck to the graveyard. They could also be in your hand or face-up field, but yeah, any condition, which lets you send multiple monsters from the deck to the graveyard, is always worth looking at, and this is no exception. If you're playing a Magnet Warrior deck, I would highly suggest picking up a full playset of this card, as it is a very valuable starter, one of the best in the entire deck for that matter, and you'll definitely want to see in your opening hand pretty much every single time. Magnet Bonding is another new support card for the Magnet archetype, allowing you to do quite a bit here with 3 different effects. You can either add Linear Magnum plus minus or a level 4 lower Magnet Warrior from your deck to your hand, which is a very useful effect, Linear Magnum plus minus being a new card from the set as well. You can either add a level 8 Magna Warrior from your deck to your hand if you try to summon the big Magna Warriors, or you can fusion summon into some of the new or old fusion Magnet cards as well. You're definitely going to want a full playset of Magnet Bonding, as it is a searcher for one of your best starters, and of course that makes it a starter in and of itself. Fun fact, because this is a spell card with Bonding in its name, you can actually search this with Deuteron, I think it is, or Deuterageddon. There's a dinosaur monster from the Water Dragon series that lets you search bonding spells. This is actually searchable by that, which is really fun because it is another nice reference to Bastion, the character who plays all these cards in the anime. Yeah, but like I said, if you're playing Magnets, definitely pick up a playset of this card. Flux Ochsenfeld is a new generic rock fusion monster that also kind of supports earth monsters. This is pretty clearly intended to be played with the new Magnet Warrior stuff, which of course are all earth and rock and fusion summon. However, this card's quick effect is reliant on you having an earth monster in play. You can then bounce that earth monster and then another card in your opponent's field. And I gotta be honest, I just don't think that effect is really strong enough. Like, yeah, it's a bounce, it's disruption on your opponent's turn, but you have to fusion summon this. It's already kind of a big hoop to have to jump through for a deck like Magnet Warrior, and Magnet Warrior can already branch into so many different engines with the ability to play Fiendsmith, Mitsurugi, even Snake Eye, among many, many other things. I just don't think a card like this is necessary. I think even if you do happen to pull it, it's probably not something you would ever want to play in your Magnet Warrior deck. Matador Archfiend is a new ritual monster that actually supports Archfiends. In fact, when this card is ritual summoned, you get to search up to 2 Archfiend cards from your deck to your hand. A double search is definitely not something that should be overlooked, and also being a ritual monster, and we are in a time where there's a lot of ritual support, this card seems like it could be pretty decent. However, in my research, I was not able to find any evidence that this card has seen any amount of play at all. And you also got to remember that in paper play, at least I think these are out, at least in the OCG, if not TCG yet, there is an actual ritual Archfiend archetype out there, which unfortunately is not very competitive and doesn't really seem to play this card, which is really unfortunate. Like, again, a double search reads really insane, but it is a ritual monster, and you do have to ritual summon it. This card also being a warrior conflicts with a lot of Archfiend stuff that specifically wants to use Fiend-type monsters, so that's kind of another thing going against it, although a lot more slight than some of the other more glaring issues. Yeah, I don't know, in theory, again, this should be good for an Archfiend deck, but in practice, I couldn't see any list actually playing it, so I don't think I can really recommend it. It's going to have to be a 0 copy for me. Dragonic Warrior is a bit of a baffling card, really. Mostly baffling as to why exactly this card is UR. Listen, the effect reads really good on paper, but honestly, you have to realize that any archetype has a way of cheating out its own dragons that doesn't require you to draw this specific card that won't be searchable because it's not a part of an archetype, and also a discard. And not only that, but discarding is a cost for an effect like this, which is susceptible to Imperm, Ash Blossom, any number of hand traps, is always a risky proposition. It's funny because you read this card and it's like, I think even 5 years ago, this card might have had a real shot of seeing play. Being able to special summon any level 4 or lower dragon from the deck feels like it should be really strong, but again, we have to factor in the discard and the fact that it's negated, and also, again, the fact that this card is not searchable. I think this card is just not going to end up seeing any play. I'm remembering Rookie Warrior Lady being a UR way back in the day. I think this is going to be a pretty similar power level. Illusion Gate is a new board breaker spell card that, for the cost of half your life points, will not only destroy all of your opponent's monsters, but you can also then revive a monster from your opponent's graveyard, ignoring any of its summoning conditions, which is a very powerful effect. However, of course, in Master Duel being a best of one format, this is strictly a going second card, so it will really only see play in going second decks. Notably Tenpai Dragon, of course, but really anything that wants to OTK going second and doesn't need your opponent to have monsters on the field in order to do so. Of course, in best of 3 formats, you could also think about side decking this card, because again, it's really only going to be at its best when you are going second. In a lot of ways, you could think of it as a stronger Raigeki, but in some ways, it's not even necessarily 100% better. Yeah, it does summon a monster to your field, but for some combo lines, or for some going second decks like Sky Striker, for example, you don't necessarily want a monster on your field, at least not right away. Of course, it also does cost half your life points, which for going second deck is really not that big of a deal, but could matter in a grind game. So overall, I would say that, again, if you are playing a deck that specifically wants to go second, even if you win the coin flip, then you could consider, any amount of Illusion Gates. But even if you are on a deck like that, you could still just make use of your current board breakers, and I think that would also be fine. Sandwich Day is a new generic normal spell card that's a really fun reference back to Yu-Gi-Oh! GX when they're trying to find the Golden Egg Witch. Unfortunately, as fun as this card is, I'm just gonna say it, it's also just terrible. So the idea here is that you are drawing a card, and then if you have a monster in your graveyard that's not the same attribute, you can draw another card, but if it is the same attribute, you then have to discard a card. I think even in the world where you're drawing 2 cards, this really isn't worth it. You have to already have a monster in your graveyard, which is not the biggest ask in the world, granted, but at the same time, it's you're playing a game of chance at the end of the day to maybe draw an extra card. This card isn't searchable. It's just one of those cases where there are an just about infinite number of cards in any given deck that would do better than Sandwich Day, right? You could play even the weakest hand trap would probably be better than playing a Sandwich Day in your deck. So while this could, I guess, be used in anything, as long as you play monsters with different attributes, I would not recommend it even in the slightest. And that is going to go ahead and do it for this review of the new selection pack. Definitely let me know what you think of it in the comments below. I feel like this one's going to be kind of split. I could see a lot of people saying this pack is a skip, and I wouldn't fault you for it. But for those who are looking for some of these archetypes specifically, like heroes or magnet warriors, I think this is definitely going to be something that you should look out for. So, like I said, thank you so very much for watching. Super appreciate your support. Speaking of support, we still have to thank our YouTube members and Patreon subscribers. So let's do that now in our outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/Hexlex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early, as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.